All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow, and remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, do I have a very special guest for you. Please put your hands together for Miss Shelly Clark.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
I am good. Thank you. I can't complain. It's a gorgeous day here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm blessed. It's a little hotter than I expected today, but hey, I'll take it.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong. Hey, look here. Take that Indian summer while you can get it, okay? All right? Because,
yes.
Man, we both know when the bottom falls out, the bottom falls out.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, first and foremost, as I said before, I want to thank you for coming on to my platform today. And you are an inspirational author and speaker. But the book you have out now is called Beyond the Cracks: Finding God's Grace and Mercy. Can you tell us a little bit about the book, please?
Sure. The book is really, my heart for writing the book had to do with really catching those folks that may have fallen through the cracks. You know, we've all had a crack or two in life, meaning, we found ourselves in some places we didn't expect to be. And my hope in this book was to reach those folks that are in that space of stuck, and help them to navigate beyond whatever crack, whatever situation they find themselves in, and knowing that you do have the ability to move from fear into faith, from brokenness to healed. So it's really, it was really written as a book to encourage and inspire others to move beyond whatever is holding them bound.
Okay. Well, look, now, let me just say, in these days and times, and I do mean these days and times, we need all the encouragement we can get. There are a lot of people out here who feel stuck because of everything that's going on, as far as the pandemic, still keeping a roof over your head, putting food on the table, what have you. Now we have, shots or what have you, not to take the shot, to take the shot, all the anxiety that comes with as well. Just like, there's just a number of things, that we can, that pretty much takes our, day and mind and time up, and a lot of times some of us are walking around with high anxiety. So let me just ask, now I know you mentioned just a second ago, but let me just ask more specifically, who does the book speak to and who should purchase this book?
I really feel like the book speaks to all of us. And the reason I say that is because we all find ourselves in spaces and places that we never expect many times. So it's not just for that person that finds themselves stuck, nor is it for the person, it's not just for that person that may be in church, getting the word on a regular basis. It's for that person that may not necessarily know God or even see God in the same way that I do.
True. Because,
ministry doesn't happen just within the four walls of the church. So I would say that this book can speak to anybody and inspire any and everybody. If you are looking to move to the next level, to get unstuck, if you need a source of inspiration right now, you need to get the book. And like you mentioned, there's so much going on right now, so much. And, we thought the worst of it was going through the pandemic. And that was tough in many ways. But then this post-COVID world is still, we're still navigating. There isn't a new normal. And we really don't know what next looks like. So in many ways, we're all using God's GPS to figure out those next steps, And I say that God's GPS, that's if you are connected, if you have a relationship with the Lord. But if you don't, imagine those folks that are still isolated, that don't have family, don't have friends. Where do they go to? They don't know that he's the author and the finisher of their faith. But I'm hoping that books like mine, and not just my work, but the work of other authors, who are in the inspirational space, that folks will take advantage of some of the works that other people have put out there to help them navigate. And, the amazing thing about social media, a lot of people complain about, social media, and there's some good and bad, but isn't it amazing how we've been able to evolve and how the Word of God, it found a way, those folks that were just within the four walls of the church, now they're on YouTube, now they're on Facebook. And, folks who, maybe had their businesses confined to just the four walls. Man, it's really brought about some innovation. Mm-hmm. So I feel like there's no accident that this happened. And it's helped us all to be a little more creative. But there's definitely a need to minister, to reach out to folks that are isolated. There are a lot of people that are working from home that are probably, teetering on the verge of depression because they're not interacting with anybody. And then imagine how it's impacting our children, which are now back in school, but, I don't know for how long. So this post-pandemic, post-COVID world, we're still all trying to navigate.
You know what? You really hit on a lot of things right there. No, and it's important because, as you said, I don't really think sometimes sometimes people do and sometimes people don't, but we really need to take a step back and think about, okay, man, if you've made it this far, you've made it through the brunt of last year, which, COVID really came on strong and a lot of things happened. And even into earlier, the earlier parts of this year and pretty much up to this point, and you're still somewhat in the isolation. As you said, that social component is key. And without you having that social component, it can be rough. It could change your, way of thinking. You can go into a depression. Your anxiety's up.
Yes.
And look, Zoom. I can speak from experience. Zoom personally has taken my platform from one spectrum to a whole different place. I'm talking to people like yourself all around the country, whereas at one point in time, I was just pigeonholed, or I was just stationed,
right,
in one place doing a live interview or what have you. But now I'm able to reach people on the East Coast, West Coast, people in Canada, people in Africa, Australia, whatever, all around the world. And
yes.
It's opened up that component. So I'm like a introverted socialite almost in a sense.
Yeah.
Because,
me too.
Man, because I have my moments when, hey, you know what? I'm shutting it down. I just want to be alone. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do anything. I just want to be alone with my thoughts. But then on the flip side of that, I may have a funny joke or I may have a funny story that I may want to tell. And if I have no one to tell it to, I'm just like, well, man, I'm just sitting around with this joke. Okay, all right. And I don't want to tell myself jokes. I already know the joke. So,
right.
It can be an issue, So
yeah.
I like that. So now let me ask, how long did it take to actually write and publish this book?
Good question. Actually, I started writing, I want to say in March 1999. But to answer your not oh Lord, not 1999. Lord have mercy.
Oh my wow.
2019.
Okay, all right, no problem.
2019.
No problem.
Actually, I would say start to finish, including outline to finally getting it published and up on the website. I would say a full year, but the writing of it, I would probably say 9 months. I've got 9 chapters, but there's a whole lot more involved than you would think. You feel like, okay, let me write this book, and you write, and you feel like, oh, the writing of it is done. But what I didn't realize is, if you really want your work to be good, and of course, I'm a newbie at this, I'm no expert,
Right.
but because I'm anal and I like for my work to be done in excellence, you want to make sure you have somebody edit. And what level of editing do you want? You don't want grammatical errors. You don't want misspelling errors. So, the outline, the writing, and the rewriting. And what I mean by that is, before you know it, what you have at the end, oh no, that's at the beginning of the paragraph, or, just developing it. And there's some lessons that I learned, of course, in writing, but then figuring out the cover and what do you want the cover to look like and what do you want on the back of the book. So I would say the writing of it anywhere from 8 to 9 months, and then the full development of it, I would say a full year, because I didn't set out to write a book. Actually, my mom and I both wrote a book at the same time. Yeah, she was the one who would always say, oh, I need to write a book. Oh, I need to write a book. So I found a person that could assist us with that process. And the Lord just kept speaking to me about, at the time I was volunteering at church on the follow-up team. And one of the questions that the leader asked about, why do you want to be involved in the follow-up team? And he asked us to write it down. And what I wrote down is to catch those that might fall through the cracks. And from there, it just seemed to evolve and beyond the cracks. People not falling through the cracks and catching those. And so it was meant to be for me to volunteer in that area. And for that idea of catching people, it just evolved from there. And it's a work from my heart. It's a work that does contain personal life experiences, because, I didn't want to write a book about something and not have my heart in it. I can tell you what it means to be stuck in that crack and what it felt like, and how, there were moments when I felt overwhelmed. I'm a believer, but I still felt overwhelmed. I still found myself in some spaces that were I was living beneath the privileges of God. But I've been in church all my life. And, a lot of times you feel, oh gosh, I failed God, because we're not in those spaces and places where we're supposed to be, or, but none of us are perfect. And if we could fix ourselves, it would be one and done. But I'm a witness that, although I would love to say, hey, I've had no challenges, life is perfect. Hey, my gosh, I've done it all right. No, man, I've missed it, and I've missed it big at times. But, grace be unto God that he has sought me out. He loves us so much that he continually draws us back to himself. And I'm glad about it.
Well, no. Okay. So you sort of answered my next question, because I was going to ask, was this book based on personal experiences, or were there like stories that, other people have talked to you about that sort of inspired you to, come forth with the book? And I mean, you sort of like, answered that question right there, because I think sometimes to, really get the point across, you do have to use personal experience. You do have to write from a personal space in order to like really, not only gain trust, but, to just really get people to see the whole picture. Because as we said, sometimes sitting around and in, isolation, or, you just, you may be going through a depression or what have you. A lot of times, we can get caught up in thinking it's just us, instead of, well, man, I know I'm going through it. I wonder who else is going through it, And a lot of times we try to speak, and it's really no fault of our own, but, sometimes we always come from that I perspective. And it can be a good thing. It could also, well, not, be somewhat of not a good thing, but in, these experiences or what have you, when you're trying to uplift and empower and, grab those who, no pun intended, who have slipped between the cracks and, who they're like deep down, sometimes you gotta, use that personal to pull them up and to cultivate them into what they are supposed, or what they want to be in their own mental space. So let me just say that, so man,
Sure.
Hats off to you for that. Now, let me just ask you though, like for those that, and I know we spoke on it a little bit earlier, who don't have the strong spiritual connection with God, what inspiring words can you lay on them?
I would say, especially right now, given where we were in 2020, mm-hmm. where we are still in 2021, the difference in now and pre-pandemic is people were going through things, separately on their own, an issue here or there. The difference now is we all face this together. Yes. We were all in the middle of this pandemic. We were all shut down, all isolated. So, we can all relate to one another. And I feel like this hopefully brought about compassion. Greater level of compassion for one another. But what I would say to someone who feels like they're in the middle of crack, or they don't know what to do next, I would encourage you to pray. And if you're a believer, I would encourage you absolutely to pray. And if you haven't prayed within the last year, 5 years, 10 years, pray. It's nothing more than communication with God. It doesn't have to be our Father which art in heaven and using all the us and thou. It could be as simple as, look, God, I need to talk to you. I'm struggling, bruh. I'm struggling. Right. But more than that, I would say don't give up. Because again, not everybody is a believer. And, the world needs help right now. The believer, the non-believer, those who look like me, those who don't look like me. I would say don't give up. Don't give up. You are necessary. No man is an island unto himself. It's so funny that certain businesses were allowed to open, right? Certain businesses were deemed essential. Nurses were essential, transportation was essential, but I really feel like they left out one big thing. Relationships are essential. And I think that is, we learned that during this pandemic. We need one another. We strengthen one another. It's so funny having the mask on. I would find myself sometimes in the grocery store, you smile or nod.
Right.
And it was so funny. I would catch myself saying, Shelly, they can't see you smiling. Shelly, they don't see you smile.
True.
But something as simple as walking into the grocery store and morning or hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't smile at one another. If you were isolated, you didn't have the opportunity to pass your coworker and say, morning, how you doing? How was your weekend? Yeah. You don't realize how important those little things are. So relationships are so essential. I'm sorry, let me get back to your original question. Here I am, right?
That's all right.
Don't give up. Don't give up. You are so important. You are essential to somebody. We need one another. And just because it looks like someone else isn't going through, or this person appears they have it better than you really don't know. We've been wearing masks long before 2020.
Ooh.
We all wear masks to a certain degree.
True.
And it's time to snatch off not our physical mask. Keep that mask on right now, depending on where you are.
Yes.
But be honest. Take that mask off and be honest with yourself about where you are. Be honest with your loved ones about where you are. If you need help, ask. And especially in the African American community, sometimes we don't want to be upfront about challenges that we're having, emotional, but if you need help, get it. Whatever you do, don't give up. Keep moving forward. Keep fighting. You are worth it. And somebody else needs you. Somebody else is counting on you making it to your next. And I think sometimes we feel so small. We feel so isolated. And we feel like, well, how can I make a change? I'm nobody. Yes, you are. You might be the difference in a person committing suicide. If they pass you in the gas station and you open the door and good morning, because you're going to get your coffee, and you strike up a conversation that's buying a bottle of Gatorade, but his day it started off rough, he's struggling, and your good morning and your conversation about, oh hey, yeah, I work at such and such, yeah, whatever, that flashing that smile, just that nod. I'm a believer that it's those small acts that add up. It doesn't have to always be, I'm going to write you a check for $1,000. Now, money answers all things. Don't.
Hey, money's good.
If you want to write a check, go ahead. But I tell you what, a smile, a word of encouragement. Hey, I love your hair. Hey, how are you doing? You just never know what folks are going through. Practicing kindness. You can never go wrong treating people the way that you desire to be treated.
That's true.
Yep.
Well, and you hit on like two major points: compassion and empathy. And you really never know, like, as you said, for a lot of people who are working remote, even if you didn't have a close relationship with the people that you work with, you were used to going to work every day, passing certain people. And there may have been someone that you worked with that, hey, you all had a connection with like a running joke, or it may have been, talking about the game, or just anything, a person may be a dog, lover or owner.
Yeah.
And there's just like, those certain conversations that you just miss talking, about or what have you, that you can't talk about, at this present point in time because of, the distancing between the two. Because, what you may have taken for granted, well, yeah, I'll see this person tomorrow. I'll see this person tomorrow.
Yeah.
That person tomorrow. Now, all of a sudden, man, it's been like a year and a half. You haven't seen this person and you're still working remote and you're wondering now, you know what? I wonder what's going on with this person or whatever. And sometimes, it could be odd to reach out, because we probably figure, hey, you know what? They're probably doing their own thing. They're probably not even thinking about what I'm thinking about. And like you said, you really never know.
Never know.
The other side, because that person can possibly be struggling in their own right, struggling a little bit more than you. And your conversation, no matter what you think it is, whether you think it's minor or major or whatever, you just never know what, hey, you know what, man, I had you on my mind. I know we would talk, here and there about, the dogs or what have you, but how are you? How's the dog? How's everything going? How are you like holding up during this time? Yeah, I know we're working from home or whatever, but man, I thought I'd never say that I missed the office,
Yeah.
I mean, those are some things that we just really don't take for granted. And those are some things we sometimes do take for granted. And I think we need to, get back to the compassionate side of things, to the more empathetic side of things, because as you said, as we talked about earlier, basically everything that's going on now, look, there's a high state of anxiety.
Yes.
And in people's minds, there's like, okay, there's this wall of separation. Those who do, those who don't. And it doesn't matter whatever the race is. It's just really about if you do or if you don't. If you don't, then you're on this side. You may feel as if you're judged. You may feel as if, well, man, am I really doing what's best for me or whatever? And if you're on this side, you may feel like, okay, I'm judging. I don't want to be judged because I'm doing what I feel is right. And right is what everybody else is saying is right or whatever. And, we just really need to take the wall away and get back to communicating. And as you said before, you never know what hey, how you doing? How's everything going? Even though they may not be able to see the smile, sometimes you can see those eyes smile. And if you see those eyes smile, you know what?
Yeah.
So, those are strong, great points that you just made right there. Okay. Now, let me ask. Now, man, you just gave this wonderful answer. Let me ask you: do you have any upcoming engagements, speaking, engagements or projects on the horizon that you may want to tell us about?
Due to the pandemic, that has certainly limited speaking engagements. Mm-hmm. But what I've found, and it's again amazing how social media platforms have opened up, So normally what I've been doing is I'll go live on my own page or assisting others. There's something that a sister friend of mine is starting called the Amen Corner. So yeah, so I'm going to be on her show every now and again. And it's just, a faith-based, talking about the word, talking about whatever subject, just so that we can reach people. One thing that I'm excited about is assisting a local ministry here in trying to navigate this virtual space, because a lot of churches, they were within the four walls and maybe just branching out.
True.
But, and it's so funny, God is good. The piece of this project that I'm going to be involved in is assisting with follow-up, just so that, those folks who may reach out via, filling out a form and saying, I want prayer, or I just accepted Christ. Being a part of the team that reaches out to folks to make sure that they do not fall through the cracks, being able to pray with them, being able to help them find a local church, because, this has allowed us to reach out to people that they may not be in the Charlotte area. So if they don't have a local church, I can assist with doing the research to get them connected with a local church in their area, or talk through salvation if they've just given their life to the Lord. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to get to serve in this capacity. As far as upcoming work, I've been working on a companion journal for Beyond the Cracks. It's been a long time coming. I wish I could use the pandemic as an excuse, but no, it's the other P of procrastination. But yes, I do have a companion 21-day journal coming up. I have speaking engagements just randomly. One of the things that I participated in last month was speaking at a Girls Who Brunch tour, reaching out to young girls. So it's really been more volunteer work and assisting and serving wherever I can. I want to make a difference in whatever capacity that is. So, a lot of times you got to think outside the box, and it's not all about me pushing. Of course, I want to push the book, Beyond the Cracks, and I want to see it as a bestseller. But, at the end of the day, I'm a servant first. And I consider it a privilege to get to do that work. So, the success on the other side of it will come because I feel like my heart and my motive is in the right place.
Okay. All right. Well, no. Look, let me just say this. As we said before, social media, it can have its flaws, but it can have a lot of positives as well. And, just by you volunteering your time, even to speak to, girls, young women, what have you, to talk to them, you may not have had, the chance to do so, if there wasn't, a pandemic, because, people were going about their lives however they were going about their lives, and something like this has allowed people to stop, think, reevaluate. And,
yes.
I know something, I was reading your bio, like I know you use the word detour, but I like to use the word repivot.
Yes.
So, man, you were probably going one way, but now you have to repivot. And now we got to go another way, and going the other way now has opened up a new avenue of, like support, ears, ideas, things of that nature. And, sometimes procrastination, it can be a good thing because it probably just wasn't time for you to do what you needed to do then. But now you have the opportunity to do so. And
absolutely.
I mean, man, as long as you stay prepared, man, you don't have to get prepared. So
exactly. And you know what? I think that this pandemic has really, to your point, opened a lot of eyes, because if you were uncertain about, maybe you were not happy in that particular job or what have you, I think it caused a lot of people to reevaluate their life.
Yeah.
As important to me as I thought it was. And people have said, you know what, I want to work for myself. I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I really feel like it sparked a lot of creativity. So, being able to pivot, that alone is a skill and something that we should all have in our toolbox. You know, if you were able to navigate the pandemic and still come out, you know, and work successfully or even build a business, that's pivoting. And maybe even if you fail in something, you know what, that fail forward. Success is on the other end of that. You know, nobody gets to, you know, the mountaintop without sliding back down a couple times. Yeah, you find your footing as you go along. And, you know, the more you try, the more you figure it out and you find your footing, you get where you're supposed to be at the right time. You know, I know that there are a lot of people who think, oh, I want to be an overnight success. You know, be careful what you wish for, because some of those folks who have overnight success don't know what to do with it when they get there. And then it's short-lived. So,
come on now.
You know, if it takes me a while to get to the mountaintop, at least by the time I get there, I'll know who's really in my corner, because those folks who were there when I slid down the mountain will still be there. Those are the real folks. And then I'll figure out what to do with that success and influence. Think about so many people that get to the mountaintop and they use their influence, you know, in a way where it's like, man, there's so many things that you could be doing.
True.
We have a choice. We all have influence, even, you know, at whatever state or whatever level we're in. We all have a circle of influence. And I would say, you know, if you're not using that influence in a positive way now, when you get to the mountaintop, you're probably not going to. So, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. So, you know, if you're not faithful over, you know, what you have your hands to right now, you know, you really can't expect God to bless something that you're halfway doing. You know, everybody who was successful in the Bible or, you know, did anything great, they already had a job, if you think about it. David was tending sheep. Peter was catching fish. You know, they had jobs. They were already doing stuff.
Yeah.
And think about how long it took David, you know, to get from, you know, where he was as a shepherd boy to then being king. That didn't happen overnight. He had to learn how to slay you know, protect the sheep and kill the lion before he got to Goliath.
Yeah. Hey. Well, I mean, but it's a process, and it's really about your mentality and your faith within the process. And as you said, you know, be careful what you wish for, because that overnight success that you may be wanting or what have you, yeah, you may get it, but it doesn't mean you're going to keep it for long, or, you know, you may misuse it, or, you know, you may decide, or sometimes life has a funny way of giving you everything you want at a certain period of time. And when you do get, you know, things that you want at a certain period of time, if you get them too fast, and then you're out here trying to like lecture or teach or what have you, you have to think about who's going to listen and who's not. Because there's also going to be those doubters, you know, there's going to be those naysayers that say, you know what, you don't know anything, you got it like this, you went through that, you don't know anything about struggle or what have you. And to a degree, they may be right, you know, but you have to learn how to handle those types of things, you know, like,
right.
Heavy lies, man, heavy is the head that, you know, wears the crown at the top, you know what I'm saying? So
that's right. And, you know, honestly, I think the higher you go, you know, you're going to be scrutinized even more. And the thing is, how are you going to handle it? You know, success is great when everybody loves you. But when you disagree with folks, or, you know, you're the leader and you become more demanding, in my job today, I manage about 16 ladies.
Okay.
In my director of accounting role. Okay. And being the leader is overrated sometimes.
Yay.
Because you get the accolades when there are successes, but you also get, the reprimand when there are failures. And whether you did it or someone on your team did it, when you're the leader, it still happened on your watch. So, I think this generation, accountability is something that we can really take a lesson in, because no one seems to want to be accountable to anyone, and we all want to be stars overnight. But man, in order to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower first.
Say that. Like, I mean, you yourself have to follow the mission, and you have to. Just because you're a leader doesn't mean that you can't not adhere to the rules. These are rules in place. So just because you're in front doesn't necessarily mean you get to make up the rules. No, this is what it is. Follow them, and once you follow, others will follow you. But if you don't follow the rules or what have you and do things your own way, you have to watch out where you're leading people. Are you leading them down a path that they need to be led down, or is it really about the title, or is it really about the mission and the purpose? Ask yourself.
Good point.
So
good point. Because I think so many people are concerned about the position and not the purpose behind the position. And, I think, it just comes with the truth also, because, when you're climbing the corporate ladder or whatever ladder it is you're attempting to climb, you think, okay, I want to become this. I want to become the manager. Then I want to be the director or what have you. But again, to whom much is given, much is required. It takes work. There's no shortcut. We love the shortcuts, but there are some pitfalls at times to taking those shortcuts.
True.
And realize that if you get that position, you had better understand the purpose of that position, because if you don't and you abuse it, things are going to go awry real quick. You can't be, there's no I in team. No. It takes everybody. There's nothing worse than a leader that, wants all the credit but none of the blame.
Huh.
I want all the credit. I want none of the blame. And, you don't lead by example. Well, that team is not going to be very happy. I think that I always say you get more with sugar than salt. Hey. If you make people feel like they're a part of the process and integral to what's happening, you can influence people to follow you anywhere, especially if they know that you're willing to roll up your sleeves too to get the work done. And I think that translates in any way, whether you're talking about church or you're talking about even family. It's about investment. If they know that you're invested, if your husband, wife, whoever, kids know that you're invested in them, they're going to do everything that they can. If your associates know that you're invested, there's nothing you can't ask people to do. They'll want to do it. That's and true. I'm excited about being able to serve in whatever capacity. This pandemic, I actually reached out to a pastor friend of mine, and I told him, I said, I need a job. I need something to do, because your church looks different. Not that I was, going and doing everything that I was supposed to do.
Right.
Pre-pandemic. I don't want to get it twisted and act like I was on the right path. Full transparency.
Okay.
No, I was not. But I just felt, I felt it necessary to do something, to serve, to work in whatever capacity that I can, because I don't know. I know that people are hurting.
True.
People need help. And yes, I'm only one person, but if we all have that heart to serve, if we all do whatever God has called each and every one of us to do, we'll get where we need to be. We're the body of Christ. The body. It takes more than just the head. The pastor can't do it all.
No, you need help.
Look, pastor can't even visit you in the hospital.
That's true.
He can't come and see you. He cannot come and see you. Your mama can't come and see you right now. So, things look different, and we're going to have to go back to your word, and it's really probably the word of the day, pivot. You got to figure out what comes next and be willing to adapt and pivot, because we don't live in the same space that we used to live in. A lot of things look different. There are still a lot of people that are not back into their buildings at work.
Yeah.
So, there's still a lot of people working remote. There are churches still not open. There are businesses that are still not open to full capacity because, they're having trouble finding workers, which is unbelievable.
Hey, look no further than the school system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look no further than the school system. When there's a nationwide shortage of bus drivers, aides, even principals. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, like, who's going to run the school? What is the vision of the school? And now, there's such a rush to get, children, back into the school that, like, I hate to say it, but there's like a level of anarchy up in the school right now. Like everything's going haywire. Everything's going crazy.
Tough.
Because who's leading the school? There is no leadership. So, man, when there's no leadership or clear-cut leadership, man, people are going to do whatever. I'm not going to say they're going to do the right thing or the bad thing. They're just going to do whatever. And, until they can figure that out, I always speak in an educator's way because that's pretty much what I did. I was in the schools, I even taught special ed, and I will always teach out of certain books so I can make the lesson of the book relevant to what's with the kids of today, and you know what, sitting up here talking to you, I don't really think about it in this aspect, but yeah, it was it was like a pastor leading the church,
Oh yeah.
You got it a book, but I don't think of it that way. I just think of it as, hey, you know what, man, there are lessons in here that apply to you all. So let me teach these lessons and draw the comparison between the two. And man, you can get whatever it is I'm saying. And then when it's time for you to put forth the effort, and you have to take your test or what have you, or you're judged on these credentials or whatever it is that you learn, man, you can always go back to this book, or you can go back to the lesson that and put the two and two together, boom, there you go. All right.
Yep.
I try to make it as simple as possible. So let me ask Miss Shelly Clark, if people want to get in contact with you, if they want this book, how do they get in contact with you? Via social media or email or website?
I can be reached I'm on social media, both the Instagram Facebook platforms at Shelly Roselle Clark, and that's ShellyRoccellClark on Instagram and Facebook. They can reach me on my website. They can purchase a book at beyondthecracks.com. And of course, it's available on Amazon. Everything is available on Amazon.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it can be purchased on Amazon or on my website, beyondthecracks.com. But yeah, reach out to me on social media. I love to get feedback on the book, especially if it's touched someone in a particularly special way. I love to get feedback, knowing that, it just confirms that it was necessary for me to do this work. And again, it's just a privilege to use that platform to reach people, because I'm an accountant. I never really thought about being an author. But what's so funny is when I was a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher. And so, yeah, it's so funny that, things have come full circle, because this platform and writing the book, and even in the accounting world, I feel like I've been able to become a teacher and assist those, because I have the opportunity to build other people up and, educate and inform them, just understanding that you're important. You're so important. You have gifts, you have callings. Just tap into it. Everybody is necessary. And, I love encouraging and inspiring people to move to whatever that next phase of life is. And, maybe they're not there yet, but again, to go back to your word, it may feel like a detour, but no, it's a pivot. All right, I'm using that. I'm going to use that.
Oh, well, look here. I got another word I'm about to lay on you in a minute, but I'm going to tell you. Basically, I've come to the last question of the show, and it's the question that my show is based on. So I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to give it to you. Ms. Shelly Clark, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Oh, gosh. One word that best describes me.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
I love this part.
I'm gonna say this word, but I don't necessarily mean it in a church sense. And I'll use the word pastor. And I know that's gonna come across weird. It's gonna be like, well, why would she say that? She's not a pastor.
Oh no.
I say that because today I was talking to a friend, and I was telling her about something that is available for her son. And I was asking my sister about it, like, hey, is it still available? Maybe I can reach out to so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. And my sister said, okay, Pastor Shelly. And I said, why do you say that? And we laughed. And she said, because you're always thinking about other people. You're always trying to help other people.
Come on.
And I have a heart for people. And I feel like that pastor role, I think that people don't get the credit that they deserve. Everybody wants to be apostle so-and-so, bishop so-and-so, this, that, and the other. But when you really look into that role, it's loving, it's caring, it's nurturing, it's building, it's protecting. And that's what I am. I was to a fault with my family, my sisters. I get on their nerves. They say I'm bossy. Whatever. I'm sorry. See, you didn't know you were getting a comedian.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, yeah. I love it when I get those, man. I love it, man. Listen, I love the humor. I love it. I love it.
Look, I bought it all today. I bought it all today.
Well, I got a word for you. My word for you, and I thought about this as I was sitting, down, thinking of questions, thinking of things to write, and I was going through, your bio and all the information that was sent over. I said, what word could I use? I got it. My word for Miss Shelly Clark is herald. Herald.
Oh.
Let me speak on it. Messenger sent to announce something, usually sent by Christ. Now, we can go there. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we can use that. But let's just go with the messenger part. I mean, it's really about the message. It's really about what you're saying. As I said before, what's more important? The title or the mission? So, man, sometimes when you're sent with the mission, you have to deliver the message. And when you deliver the message, hey, it's not threatening or whatever. It's just the message. It's for you, to take in, man, take all of it into account, man. You're like accountable for everything I'm about to say or what have you, but just take it in, process it, and, let's move forward in a positive way. So I thought about that. I was like, Harold, yes, Harold. That's my word for you.
Wow. And to know that I just answered that with pastor.
There you go.
And, going to message and mission, and wow, that's wild. That's it confirms something that I've felt and really known for a long time. But a pastor friend of mine, he said, Shelly, be open to what God has next. It's not gonna look like what you think it should be, in a traditional sense. So this, I could share. We need to talk again. We do. We need to revisit 6 months to a year later. And I something's brewing.
Oh.
And and I wish I could say, oh, this, and this. I don't know what it is. I just know that I sense that great things are happening, and it's not just with me. I feel like it's a great time to capitalize on the time that we're in. This is a great space for using our creativity, a great space for networking and reaching out to people and using whatever sphere of influence that you have. And if you've been faithful over that, it can explode. You just never know. And, I'm just crazy enough to believe that, anything is possible. At the end of my reach is a greater reach in and through Jesus Christ. And he said, if he is lifted up, he'll draw all men unto him. And so, if that is our mission, I don't know. I'm excited about life. I'm excited about what is happening in the body of Christ, because this is an opportunity to reach folks like never before. We're not confined to the four walls of the church. They have essentially been knocked down, knocked over, kicked over. And, what may have been an attempt to shut it down didn't do anything but let it loose.
There you go.
So now it's loose. What are we going to do with it?
Hey, look, to me, church is where you make it. If you're outside in the parking lot, like I said before, what's more important, the title or the mission? If the mission is to teach, man, do you really need like a structure to teach, or can you teach wherever you walk? If you're out on the street, can you effectively, grab those who need, bringing in, man, if you're at a concert, if you're at an engagement, it doesn't really matter. Like, as I said before, man, it can be anywhere. So I don't believe in coincidences. I believe things happen. Man, people come in when they're supposed to come in. Things happen when they're supposed to happen. There is no such thing as loss, but there are such things as lessons.
Yes. You teaching.
I do what I can.
You are, well, this right here, what you're doing, this is ministry. It's you don't have to be somewhere, and have the biggest cross on your neck, or for that matter, you don't even have to use the word God. People should be able to see him without you even uttering that. You should be able, I should look like my father. If I truly have his DNA, I look like my father. I act like my father. Now, granted, I might have some moments because I'm human.
Hey, of course.
But hey, look at Peter in the Bible. He was I'm related. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm related.
Look, I'm just saying, man, there's a bigger picture. Sometimes we have to step back.
Yes.
To really grasp the view, and not really be caught up in the front of it because you can't really see everything.
Yeah.
Going on.
Yeah.
So you got to take a step back and really think about, okay, this is, whoa, wait a minute. It looked like this when I was up close, but man, now I can really see.
Oh yeah.
Full perspective is, okay, so man, I have to really, think about how I'm going to go about this, so where do I go from here? Do I go in this direction? Do I go in that direction? What is basically, as I like to tell kids all the time, especially those kids, who are somewhat troubled or what have you, and they're thinking about all kinds of things. Well, I'm going to run away. I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave. I'm going to do that. Okay, what's the end game? Because you can do all these things, but eventually you're going to have to stop somewhere. And when you stop, what are you going to think about when you stop? Are you really going to think about how far you came, or are you going to think about where you're going, or are you going to think about why you're here? So you really got to consider these things,
Yeah.
Oh, look here, man, we're going to have church all day. Look.
I know.
No, seriously, I have more than enjoyed this time with you.
Me too.
And this has been great. This has been wonderful. Look.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come and speak on your platform and just chat. I loved it. We got to do this again.
Look here, you family now, so when you family around here, you got to come back. So
all right, bro.
Ain't no like, you family now. We have welcomed you into the World with Ty Brownlow family. So anytime Shelly Clark want to come back on here, talk about what's going on, what else you got, cooking or whatever. Look, yes, man, please you.
All right.
It's not an issue.
I'm down. Hopefully next time we talk, I'll be bringing something to the table. I'll be bringing some.
Come to the table this time. You're going to bring
I'm talking about some more fire to the table. You know what? I'm sorry. I might act right next time.
No, you better not. You better look at. I want the same person that was here today to come back next time. I don't want nobody new.
Right.
I don't know them new people. You know what I'm saying?
But seriously, thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
You are, look, seriously, you are welcome. Look, that's why I created this platform. My main mission is to be, is to have informative content, and however that speaks to you, however that comes across to you, just know that when it's coming from this source, it's all about being informative and how you can benefit from it. So that's just what it is. All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You can follow me all social media platforms at Word with Ty Brownlow, or you can just go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Y'all getting this gospel, because that's what we didn't have today. We didn't have gospel today, okay? So y'all gonna get this gospel, plus other great interviews as well. Miss Shelly Clark, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we out. Peace.